Westminster, over to you.
Thank you, Joanna. Yes, welcome back here to College Green in Westminster, and all eyes on 6 p.m. this evening. That is the deadline by which someone who wants to put themselves forward for nomination to be the next Conservative Party leader and, of course, Prime Minister, that's the deadline by which they must secure the backing of 20 fellow MPs in order to go through to the first round of voting, which is due to take place tomorrow. We're going to talk about a really interesting constituency now, because North West Durham, the current MP, Richard Holden, he's with me right now, and when he was elected, he was the first Conservative MP ever to represent that constituency. So have you made up your mind yet who you're going to be backing?
I've not made up my mind yet. There's still a few hours to go before I need to do that. But what I'm looking for from a candidate is somebody who understands constituencies like mine. I really want them to understand the voters in my constituency. I want somebody who can bring the party together as well, can deal with those big issues around the Northern Ireland Protocol and ensure that we can keep the country together. And finally, what's most important is to be able to win an election, because I do not want to see a coalition of Labour, the Lib Dems, possibly backed up by some of the nationalist parties coming in. And I can only deliver for my constituents if I hold my seat. So that's the important thing for me.
And when we were chatting a little earlier, you said it was also important that it was someone who could appeal to swing voters.
Absolutely. They've got to be able to appeal to voters in constituencies like mine, in towns like Consett, Crook, Willington, but they've also got to be able to appeal to the country as a whole as well, and the swing middle class voters who probably been put off as well over the last few months or so. So I think it's really important we have somebody with broad appeal, but who has at the forefront of their mind constituencies like mine, gained for the first time by the Conservatives, and the voters who came over and put their trust in the Conservative Party. I think they put it in their trust in the entire party, and I want to see that delivered for them.
Now, you have been surveying your constituents, haven't you? You've sent them a survey to get their opinions on who they would like to see as the next leader. Have you had a lot of responses? So
we've had a huge response. It's gone up on my Facebook page and on Twitter and things like that. We've had over 800 local people so far, just in the last day and a bit, completing that. It's quite clear that a lot of people really did back the Prime Minister before at the general election, but they also understand that the situation has changed, and there is a real there's a broad spray of where people think they might go now, but there are a few candidates who are sort of moving ahead of the pack. They are the ones who are better known, the names that people will have seen on their TV screens and more. But I'll be publishing those results in full on my Facebook page later today, so that my voters in North West Durham can see exactly who's up and who's down.
Okay, so it sounds as though the voters aren't necessarily concerned about whether the candidate has a close association with Boris Johnson.
I think what they're really concerned about, and this is what I'm asking the candidates for at the moment, and when I'm speaking to them, what I'm really pushing on is what they're concerned about is somebody who's going to deliver for them, their families, and the towns and villages which in North West Durham. That's what they want to see. They want somebody who's going to talk directly to them and understand their concerns and the pressures that they face in their lives, but also the aspirations they have for themselves, their families, and the communities they live in. That's what I'm pushing for, and I'm sure that's what the people in my constituency really want to see. And we are going to have. I'm sure that's the person. I will back the person who will deliver that for my people.
The economy has been front and centre in much of what we've heard from the candidates so far. We've got Rishi Sunak, for example, saying, don't cut taxes yet, deal with inflation first, then cut taxes. A lot of the other candidates are saying, we'll cut taxes straight away. Which is the most sensible route forward, in your opinion? I think
we need to have we do need a balanced approach. There's nothing I want to see more than, in the long term, getting taxes down, but we have to do it in a balanced way. I'm really interested to see, and I'm speaking to the candidates about what the different proposals they're putting forwards, but we have to have both stability and a long-term programme. That's my view on that at the moment. But we cannot get away from the idea that we need to ensure that communities like mine, which have suffered from underinvestment, particularly in capital, for a very long period of time, we have to ensure that the trust that those people placed in us at the last general election is also delivered on.
Very briefly, Richard, have you heard enough or much at all from any of the candidates yet? Have any of them really spoken, in your mind, to constituencies like yours?
Believe me, I have had non-stop conversations for the last 2 or 3 days. I'm still weighing up I still want to hear more from people as to how it's not just me saying this. There are other MPs across sort of North Wales, Scotland, Northern England and the Midlands who want to hear that message about our communities and how the candidate's going to deliver for them. We're still waiting. I think there's more that some of the candidates could come out with and say how they're going to do that for us.
OK, Richard, thank you very much. Richard Holden there, the MP for North West Durham. Really, really interesting. A constituency won by the Conservatives for the first time ever in the last general election. Boris Johnson, very popular, Richard Holden says, with the voters then, but they have changed their minds. They say, yes, his time is up. But who is going to replace him in the minds of those constituents with the MP, Richard Holden? He says he's still making up his mind. We hope to find out a bit more about that later. And we will be back here at 10 o'clock with more on the build-up to 6 p.m. this evening, when nominations close in this contest to decide the next Conservative Party leader and, of course, Prime Minister. For the moment, back to you, Joanna.